So you're thinking about moving to Cleveland, Tennessee. Well, I grew up in Tennessee, and I also relocated here twice. In fact, I live right beside Cleveland, so I know a thing or two about Cleveland because I'm a real estate agent. But I think what's interesting about Cleveland is that there are some drawbacks to living here. We're going to go over all that in this video, from everything from living all the way up in Cleveland and commuting down to Chattanooga to what the housing prices are like in Cleveland, and then everything in between. And in fact, I'm going to reveal the most interesting part at the very end, so you might want to stick around because you don't want to miss any of these points, because each one of them could deter you or enforce the idea of moving to Cleveland. Cleveland's housing market is fantastic, I gotta say. It's a beautiful place to live, and it has some amazing amenities, especially since they've built up their community and their eateries and their chain restaurants in the general area recently. Their housing prices go from about $272,000 to $290,000 per average, roughly, whereas in Ottawa, just south of Cleveland, it is about $400,000, just under $400,000 for the average price. And Chattanooga in general has $350,000 houses for a median price. And so that's a significant difference if you want to live in Cleveland for $275,000 to $290,000 median. Now, I live right beside Cleveland in a place called Harrison. It's a little bit southwest of Cleveland, but it is roughly about the same. I wish that I lived in Cleveland area, though, because it's in a county called Bradley County. And Bradley County has a lot less restrictions on building and just property in general. For instance, out here, I'm in Hamilton County, which is the main county that surrounds Chattanooga area. And we have a date that you can and cannot make a fire. And so you can't have a fire in your property at certain dates. However, just across the border in a land not so far away is Cleveland, and they are in Bradley County, and they can have a bonfire whenever you want. However, I've heard that it's lax, even in Chattanooga here in Hamilton County. As long as you have a hot dog, you're a cookout. By the way, how do I know so much about Cleveland? Well, I live in the Cleveland area and I'm a real estate agent. I go there all the time because that's where my stomping grounds are and where I sell houses. So if you're thinking about moving to Cleveland, reach out to me and we'll help you find that amazing place that you've only dreamed of in Cleveland, Tennessee. Cleveland's location being at the base of the Cherokee National Forest and the Smoky Mountains provides beautiful scenery. Cleveland has all that as well. In fact, you can see the ripples inside the map if you look at a map of Cleveland or Chattanooga in general. In the middle of the city, you have a lot of amenities, and you have around the outside, which has a lot of rural areas, and which is kind of the basis for this general area of Chattanooga. Chattanooga is kind of based for the outdoorsmen. Everything from kayaking to hiking to seeing beautiful surroundings that you have out here. All kinds of wildlife, since we are a little more tropical. It's just a beautiful area to live in. So what's it like to live in Cleveland? Well, the area represents a lot of traditional values. And so for people that are coming out of different states that don't reflect more of those traditional values and have a more progressive look on life, might feel a little alienated. But the majority of neighbors don't really care about what you have in your politics as long as it doesn't affect them. Cleveland also has a small private university inside of its town called Lee University. And Lee University has your typical idea of students coming in, going out, but it doesn't have the nightlife. It doesn't have it has more of a conservative idea about how a school should be run. So if you're thinking it's going to be a party city, it's not. By far, very quiet and very conservative. So Cleveland has a lot of different retail stores in it, like a Target and, the usual, but you're not going to find, I think even Walmart is in here, but I think you're going to find the majority of things if you want to go to bigger areas like Costco and stuff, you're going to have to go to Chattanooga, which is in South Chattanooga area, or your Sam's Club or anything like that. And Chattanooga's developing infrastructure around healthcare is still developing. If you want good healthcare, you're going to have to go to CHI Memorial or the other hospitals down in Chattanooga area, like Erlanger Hospital is down there. But out here in Cleveland, it's a beautiful area, but you're not going to have the amenities that you have in Chattanooga. By the way, these two cities, and they are considered separate cities, are very close together, and Cleveland is going really fast. So the areas between them will grow together, and that will be the areas that have the best real estate if you're an investor and looking to actually make a benefit someday off your sale of your property or rentals. And speaking of that commute, if you want to go from Cleveland to Chattanooga, sometimes it can get a little bit trafficky because you're going right through the mountain pass there, and it gets kind of narrow and bottlenecked. And so you're going to have a little bit of traffic going from one place to another, but not too bad. But keep that in mind during high traffic hours like 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. when people are coming and going from work. A lot of people that want to have that sereneness of Cleveland go and commute to Chattanooga for work and then commute back. But the commute isn't that bad. It's usually about 30 minutes to 45 minutes depending on where you're going in Chattanooga and how far into Cleveland you live. In fact, if you want to go to Cleveland to the airport of Chattanooga, then you're going to be about half an hour out. And that's a huge benefit because if you only need to go to Chattanooga for a little while, then you can live in Cleveland in the sereneness of the countryside and then commute every once in a while down to Chattanooga. So although Cleveland is focused on trying to bring in that community atmosphere and having more entertainment, it's not the biggest entertaining place on planet Earth, that's for sure, even less so than Chattanooga, which is even less so than Atlanta or Nashville. And so out in Cleveland, those looking for an entertainment or nightlife aren't going to find that type of stuff because Cleveland is that way. It's more, again, of a private college town, and it's not just a town. It's big. It's a big area, but it's also has surroundings of more family and centric location. And all year round, it's pretty mild because if you're coming from the north and you get your negative 20s, or if you're coming from the deep south and you got your hundreds and 120s, we're not going to see any of that here. Usually it's about 20 degrees at minimum in the winter, and that only lasts about a week. Now, it usually sticks around the 40s and goes all the way up to maybe the 90s for a week and usually sticks around the 80s. So you got this huge swath that's right in the middle of the temperature difference. So you get all four seasons all the way around in Cleveland, Tennessee. It's a beautiful place. But if you're looking for snow skiing and you're looking for maybe going to the beach, you're not going to find that here because that's not the way it works. We don't have that stuff in Cleveland, Tennessee. And every time I go to Cleveland, I go there quite a bit because it has the majority of the eateries that are nearby me, and it has the majority of improvement areas as I'm building a house. That is the place to go because it is a beautiful area, but it also has the conveniences that I can find in Chattanooga, but they are available closer in Cleveland. So if Cleveland's something that you're thinking about going to, then I would definitely suggest reaching out to a real estate agent like myself to lead you around town and show you the different areas that you might enjoy the most. If that's something that you want to do, please reach out to me. My number's on the screen, and I will look forward to seeing you around town.